Is it working? I don't know. I hope everything's fine. All right. So it's going to be a little bit odd now because of my new setup on my computer, because you guys are right here and my screen is here. So I got to look back and forth, and hopefully it says the microphone's picking up everything. So hopefully I'll have to start screaming anytime soon. And you guys are kind of looking down. We got the downward angle now, and that's different. So I got to make sure everything's presentable. We're good. Everything's fine. All right, let me just get into the live events area. Oh God, the speakers are off. Okay, cool. Live control room. There we go. I was afraid it was going to start like going while I think the speaker. I don't know if my monitor has. I don't know if I can speak tonight. This is going to be a problem if I'm going to be talking for the next hour and a half. Yeah, I was a little concerned that I don't know if my monitor has speakers on it or not, and I turned the speakers that I have plugged in off, so hopefully everything is okay. Good. All right, cool. Chat says that I'm coming in good, so yay. I'm going to try to remember to look at the camera. I was going to have it right in front of me, but it was like a weird angle. And then we're all very new now. It's not directly in front of me. I can't just do this. I have to rotate around. So bear with me while we're figuring out the new setup, but there's a new setup and it's very exciting. I just got everything finished installing today. So awesome. Okay, so we have that. This is good. I don't know how to increase the bit rate, so stop telling me to increase the bit rate, YouTube. Okay, so that was a really emotional episode. Like even my parents just came downstairs they're in the other room watching there's something on PBS that they're watching in the next room, and they were even just like, so the music sounded really sad. Was this a sad episode? And I was like, it's kind of a sad episode, yeah. So yeah, I cried a little bit. Not as much as I was expecting to. I was expecting to cry a lot more, and I don't know whether to be upset that I didn't cry more or like pleasantly surprised. I'm not really sure how to feel that I didn't cry as much as I thought that I was going to. I'm going to try to figure out how to split screen this maybe, so like I can keep an eye on, just in case we have an issue like we did last week where it just decided to drop everything. I just want to make sure to keep an eye on that okay, so I do this, and then I do this, and then I do that. Okay, now I can see all the things that I need to see. Eventually I'll have dual monitors, but we're growing. We have the computer and everything's fine. Now we got to wait to increase everything else. I will do a specs video about the new computer soon. I have everything on here to make actual videos again. I just put Premiere Pro on the computer this morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, BT Dubs, happy Easter if you celebrate that. I ate an entire chocolate rabbit while watching this episode, so I might be both a little bit hyper, and also that might be why I'm relatively calm, because I had the chocolate. We're good now. I don't have candy though. Here we go. I do have pieces of candy for when my voice does decide to start to get out. Okay, so emotional episode, not nearly as emotional as I was expecting it to be. So, give or take on the good or the bad or the ugly about that. But still, like, there's emotions. I had some. What did you guys think? Let me know, like, as we're going, as usual. How are you doing? Is everybody doing okay? Everybody's good? We're surviving this week. I didn't think I was going to survive this week, but we made it Sunday. Okay, so my first question right off the bat is, I'm very interested in how the underworld functions and what is here. And by that I mean, like, so we know that, we saw Killian's body getting taken away at the end of 5A. And they're here, and he has a body here, and we know that because, like, there have been hugs and, like, physical touches and everything. Like, there have been, like, physical contact has happened, and should it? I'm very curious about the fact that there are now like people and like there's bodies and with spirits or things that should be spirits. So I'm very curious about all of that. Like when they bring Killian back, are they going to have to be like, okay, so ghosts stay right here while we go get your body out of the cold storage unit? I'm just saying. I'm confused about it. Also, Corella's car. Like I know that Underbrook is like a mirror of Storybrooke. Like we saw the bug, like up on cinder blocks or something in front of the garage. So like there are mirrors of things, but like the cars here and like the houses, the sorcerer's house. I'm just so very interested in how all of this works and how like it's put together, and like I'm intrigued. And I know that it's probably just like, you know, we can't do the, you know, okay, we're gonna just make sure we CGI like arms going through bodies and things. Like they're just probably for like humor effect, like the whole Charming and Cruella thing. Like if Cruella was trying to mac on Charming and he turns out that he wasn't James, and she'd been like, oh well, obviously this trick is completely ruined. Probably just for practicality, that was not also put in there to like separate the deadies from the aliveys. That I could have thought that out better, but I didn't. And just I'm gonna chin hands for a little while because I'm just so very curious about all of that. So that was my first thought straight off the bat, as we have Cruella going with Henry to find the author. And instead of finding the author's pen, rather, we find Mickey Mouse. So Mickey Mouse is here, and his unfinished business is Henry. I would also just like to note that Cruella dressed very badly for walking around the woods. She had her little booties on with the high heels, not so good dressing for walking around in the woods. She had a good coat though. That's good for, you know, I mean, not good for not having like stuff getting stuck into it, but you know, for warmth, I'm pretty sure, you know, hell can be cold, frozen over, maybe not like Storybrooke has frozen. Not going to start that. Not going to start that bad joke. So we have, my first thought was that we had to separate Henry from everybody else, because I was like, well, obviously if Henry's here, then if Henry's off having his own adventure with Cruella, then that's how, you know, we have the whole, oh my God, drama about like Killian going with Liam to the afterlife. Because if Henry's around, then, you know, he might be like this is the last straw. I can't take seeing bad stuff happen anymore, which, to be fair, he did have that little tantrum of, I can't stand bad things happening, I can't do anything about it thing. Just not in the context that I was expecting it to be, sort of. So that was my first thought that was proven wrong later, and I'm kind of glad about how it was proven wrong. A lot of things the fandom has called correctly about what was going to happen this episode, and a lot of things we went wildly wrong with, and I'm actually kind of pleased about that. I am really glad that it did not go in the direction of like, I'm going to go with Liam and you can't do anything about it, and him, the turning around thing was not actually like turning around and realizing, oh, I don't want to go to the afterlife, I want to stay here. No, it was other things. I'm very, very glad that that's not what happened, because I think it would have been disappointing if we had called that much. Like, it's nice when the fandom is wrong about stuff. Like, we are pretty accurate about a lot of things, because the show is not very hard to guess, but it's still much better. It's better to be pleasantly surprised by some things. And it's a lot of things I was pleasantly surprised by this week. Speaking words, enunciate, ta-ta. All right, so we run into Mickey Mouse. He's back. His unfinished business is Henry. And things about the rules being more flexible in the underworld compared to the overworld. I'm just going to use Hades' word for that because I like that. So I'm intrigued by this thought that the rules work differently in the underworld. I'm intrigued by the thought that Henry could have, like, it was maybe kind of sort of possible for Henry to bring Neil back. I'm a little intrigued by that. I'm so very interested in seeing all the things. I really just, I know they're not going to tell us all the answers, especially not, you know, next week, episode 16, we got a bunch of episodes left, but I just, half-truths. I'm very interested in the half-truths and like, okay, so he couldn't have, but what could he have done instead? Is there something he could have done instead? I don't know. I'm intrigued by the fact that the rules are more flexible in the underworld, and yet possibly Henry could have brought Neil back to life. I don't know. I'm intrigued. I'm fixing the blanket on my legs because I was not cold because it was 70 degrees here today, but now I'm in shorts and my room is cold, so now I need a blanket. So yeah, I'm very intrigued by this, the rules being different, and what else is happening with that. And Henry's whole thing about wanting to find the quill is he wants to protect his mom. He's tired of being on the sidelines. He's tired of being the kid who gets rescued and not the person who does the rescuing. The whole thing again when Henry wants to be a hero. And again, he's 13, so, you know, he does want to do all that. And it's perfectly fine that he is kind of grouchy, that he's like, I'm an adult now, moms. I need to go and do things with the sword and stuff. And like, maybe not, but, you know, 13-year-olds. So he just wants to protect his mom. He's like, I watched mom become the Dark One. I watched Hook die, and I could not do anything about all this stuff. And so I'm like, I'm very pleased. Like, he's like, I just want to do things. And I think that's setting things up very nicely for a little bit, you know, hopefully, like we keep saying, like, I hope that they do more with Jared later. And like working laws means that we can't do as much with Jared as we probably could. But I think we're trying to like nudge towards like we're getting closer to when we can. And I don't know. I want them to do stuff with Jared before they can't, I guess, before the show's over and it's like he's too old to do that. Which we're getting close to that actually being the case. He's not going to pass for a 13 for very much longer. All right, so Henry has to get this key to get the quill to do stuff and things, I guess. So there's this we go to the house, and there's this very flirty healing session. He's like, I don't want you to look at me because Hades knocked the handsome out of me. And Emma's just like, nobody punches that hard, which, you know, I think that's the first time that I can remember that she's actually like admitted out loud that he is attractive. I don't know. My encyclopedia of Captain Swan knowledge should be a little bit more refined than this, but off the top of my head, I cannot think of anything. And then, so she heals him and she fixes his clothes and everything, and she parts his hair back to the right side because his hair was not parted correctly. Point of notice, because reasons, I guess. And then he doesn't want to kiss her. Like, she moves in to kiss and be like, see, you're all better now, smooches. And he just is like, no, you know, you can't pretend like nothing bad happened. She's like, there's like problems. And he's like, I'm the problem. And he gets all mad. And like, it's really telling and important that like, he totally has this reason to just be like, well, that wasn't me. That was the darkness. And like, this whole episode did a really good job of like proving that this isn't just like a one-off, like Killian became a villain, he became Captain Hook, and then like he once was this shining little puppy dog in the captain's navy, you know, or in the king's navy. This episode did a very good job of like fleshing out that this has been a very lifelong struggle thing, that fighting the darkness has been something that he has had issue with for a long time. And I liked it's just words. It's really good to like flesh characters out this much, but like, because we have seen that you know, that Regina used to be like light and full of hope and love and honesty and all this stuff, and she just was under the control of her mother, and like bad things happened, and then she took a turn down the dark side. And then that's how she was able to come back as like, you know, she's good at the bottom. And then like Killian has had like, he's always had somebody to look up to like keep him on the path of the light. And he's had, you know, he's had his struggles in the past, and like he gave into the struggles, and then he came back out of it and struggled again and back and forth. Like it's good to like show villains as being so three-dimensional, and I think this was a really good episode. It's good to flesh out all the things, especially fleshing out Liam's character, because I've seen a lot of things talking about how the fandom has been very like, oh, Liam was this thing and we put him on this pedestal, and like that's kind of what Killian's been doing for his whole life, and then oops, he's human. He makes mistakes and does bad things sometimes. So I appreciate it when we get to see characters be fully fleshed out like this, or at least filled in a little bit more, like the shades of gray are kind of shaded in a little bit further. So yeah, so like he's upset and he's like, I did all these terrible things, and like I'm a huge problem. Maybe I don't deserve to be saved. And they're kind of fighting a little bit, and they didn't quite get into it as much as I wanted them to. And I think the way that he worded it to Liam later was that his unfinished business would be taken care of after he and Emma took care of Hades, which made me believe that he's not quite being truthful with Emma when he's like, I damn well intend to, have this future that Liam ensured for me. Like, I feel like this is a little bit of, like, I feel like this is his, after we take care of Zelina, Henry and I are going back to New York. And then at the end, we fix all that. It's fixed. So I'm all over the place, and I'm sorry. There's a lot of, everything ties in, like loops around back to each other. So I'm like trying to go in order, but like and I have thoughts that are going everywhere as my wild gesticulation is telling you. So yeah, he has every reason to wave off what he did as the Dark One because of the darkness, but he takes full responsibility. I'm reading off of my notes now just to do that. So the fact that he took full responsibility for what he did, it's good. And it's sad because nobody hates Killian Jones more than Killian Jones, and I'm not trying to woobify him or anything like that. But he does take full responsibility for what he did, and he's like, that was me, I was weak, and I did all these things, me, not passing the blame off to anybody else. Okay, so I know there's probably comments are another tab, so I will go to that in a second. The whole thing where okay, so Liam comes to the door, and the whole, like, there were rumors, but I couldn't believe it. My little brother's finally here. Just like, that was I know that it turned out to not be the case, but like, I was really kind of leaning on the whole, this isn't actually Liam. I was really leaning on that, and I was really kind of hoping that it would be kind of a trick. Because there were two characters who did not make any appearance this episode, Rumpelstiltskin and Robin Hood. So Rumpel and Robin, neither one of them were in this entire episode, and I found that very interesting. Like, I didn't realize till the very end that Robin wasn't in the episode, and I was like, wait a second, like, not even in, like, where was he? Like, that's, I had to confuse. I don't know, and I felt kind of bad. I'm like, and I didn't realize that he wasn't there till the very end. And I was like, I mean, that's kind of sad that I didn't realize, like, he's a main cast member. I shouldn't realize that he wasn't there. But I mean, like, I guess I can see why Rumpel wouldn't be around because he wouldn't want to be. But like, where did Robin go? I don't know. So yeah, I was really kind of thinking that maybe this was Rumpel masquerading as Liam. We found out later that, it's actually him. So I was very, like, just the whole, like, there's rumors going around, and I'm like, rumors from who? So I don't know who's fueling the rumor mill of the underworld, but apparently there's rumors that Captain Hook's in town. So yeah, so I'm gonna go into the comments now. Hi. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that happened. Hello. Happy Easter, Michelle, calling me a dork. Yeah, it pretty much went how I expected. Happy Easter. Yeah, there was really good how Emma handled everything, because Emma, like, I was kind of worried about how Emma's reaction would go. And I'm really glad that, like, she did, like, as much as it hurt her, she was putting the choice back on him, saying, like, as much as I keep telling you, to forgive yourself and do this, you got to make that call in the end. So I'm glad that, like, she finally did, like, have that moment of, like, giving, like, tossed it back to him. that's one thing that we're learning in my counseling classes, is like always throw it back to the person who you're counseling. So this is Emma throwing it back on him, being like, you need to be the one that does this. You needed this. I can tell you this all day long, but you have to do it. Yeah. Oh, nice. Mom decided to hide some plastic eggs with candy and money. I did not have an Easter egg hunt today. I kind of just got up, got in the shower, and went straight to my grandma's house. Has a chocolate bar in case. I thought I put this aside thinking like, oh, I might need this, but I think I'll be okay with that. I think I'm just going to take a lifesaver as usual. Yeah, Cruella was much better dressed than Elsa for walking around in the woods. Elsa was not very prepared for this woods stuff happening. Yeah, it does kind of worry me that nobody was like, everybody's just kind of like, oh yeah, Henry just kind of fucked off. And I'm just like, I don't like, why is nobody concerned about the 13-year-old just kind of vanishing? Like, okay, so questions that nobody posed. Like, I think Emma did say at one point, like, you know, Henry kind of vanished, but he was still like in the house. And people were like, you know, nobody questioned where Henry was except for Emma at one point. Nobody questioned where Robin went. And rightfully so, nobody questioned where Rumpelstiltskin went. So I have questions. I want to know where they went. I know where Henry went, but I don't know where the other two went. Yeah. Okay, we'll get to the preview for next episode soon. You guys know how I feel about Zelena. You know how I feel about Zelena, and I'm not looking forward to it. I'm intrigued to see how much of it they make. If they make Zelena into Persephone, I'm really intrigued to see if they make Zelena into Persephone. How much of that happens, I don't know, but we'll find out, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, the preview for next week should be interesting. Maybe Sean McGuire was like, you know what, I'm going to be heavy next episode. I'm going to take this episode off. I honestly don't know where he went. Oh, that's a good point, Kimberly. My thought is maybe the rules are flexible in Underbrook, but has repercussions in Storybrooke. That's an interesting thought. And I'll have to think about that because that did not come to me. So I'll have to ponder that one because that's a good thought. But I would wonder what the repercussions of Storybrooke would be. I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't until the very end, like when they were all in the loft, and I was like, but wait, where's Robin at? Like, and then it occurred to me, like all episode he wasn't there. And I'm like, nothing. Like, I know we had to have the conversation between Regina and Emma in the diner, which I loved that conversation. I was great. I love when like both of them are just like, you know what, I'm sick of dealing with your bullshit. So here's the truth tea. And I love it when they do that. Maybe Robin was searching for Henry. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's a good way to hand wave it off. Michelle, you wouldn't have questions if you just watched the show. And now I can give you you should watch the show, Michelle, look, instead of just telling you over text or something. Yeah, I would worry Rumple was too, but nobody really wondered where Rumple was the last time that he just kind of went off and did whatever, but we just found out that he's just kind of hanging out in his dad's shop. But I don't know, his shop, his dad's shop, like how do we want to phrase that? Like whose shop really is it in the Underbrook? I don't know. I know that everybody is like, so many people love Zelena. She's such a divisive character. And I would like her more if they didn't just make her so two-dimensional and flat. And like she had promise and I hated her then, but at least I was like, you know what, at least if she makes a good villain, then she makes a good villain. But then like they haven't gone anywhere with her except this weird whatever that she's become, which is a flat two-dimensional character. And I would love for her to have more, like she should have more than what she is. It's all I ask, please. Like, just give me something to work with and maybe I won't hate Zelena so much. But anyway, regardless. I don't think we're going to see Zelina and Cora and Regina, because I think Cora was already given her punishment and she's back being the miller's daughter doing something, whatever. But I don't know. I remember I don't pay attention to, I try not to pay attention to the whole spoiler thing and like who's cast members, what. I don't look at IMDb pages or anything like that. So I don't know if... not Rose McGowan, because she plays young Cora and she wouldn't be here. I don't remember the actress who plays Cora, her name. It's not the one that was on Charmed, but I don't remember. Yeah, so I don't think Cora's going to be around, which kind of is sad, because like you would think that that would be great for that to have, for them to have this confrontation, but alas, no. Yeah. So here for the Zelina stuff, only because Hades went through so much effort to conceal their forbidden romance. I did like that, like, he had Liam take Zelina's part out of his part / Zelina's part out of the book. And it's like the thing I saw going around was that they had to remove the smut part from the storybook. To be fair, probably true. Also, like, how many other couples are there that's probably in there? But yeah, it's just, you know, gotta hide the shady, smutty past between Hades and the Wicked Witch of the West. So yeah. No, Sean's been married for a while. Maybe Sean got married at the time they were filming that episode. Sean's been married for a couple of years. He actually had his wife Tanya had their first child last summer. I think like kind of around Comic-Con last summer. So like he's been married for a while. So I don't know where he went with that. Oh, I love that, Leah. Love when Henry calls Emma and Regina moms. I have one of my favorite lines, the episode I did write down about when they were in the house and Emma was like, "Okay, you're gonna stay here and be lookout," because like Emma didn't trust Liam, so she thought, "Oh, maybe my 13-year-old son will be able to like handle this grown man." And he's like, "But," and Regina's like, "Don't argue with your mother, but or your other mother." I think that was I love that. I love when they like play with that, because they don't ever get to, or they try not to as much, but I love when they do play with that kind of stuff. I don't know. Kind of really want Hades to be the father of Zelina's baby so that we see what Robin does with all his paternal feelings he had for little green bean. I don't know. I mean, I could see them doing that because they've handled this baby storyline so badly as it is. And it's awful as it is. But I don't think that they're going to do that. If you watched the preview for next week, when they're confronting Zelina, she's very, like, there's tears in her eyes and there's tear tracks all over her cheeks. So I feel like this already ended, or like it's on a cool period. I'm not really sure, but I don't think that Hades is the father of Zelina's baby. That storyline is messy enough. I don't want them to go near it with a 9-foot pole. It's bad as it is. Leave Peanut alone. Barbara Hershey plays Cora. Okay, I knew her name was Barbara, but I didn't want to be like, Barbara, Barbara. Like, Barbara who? Barbara Dunkelman? No. Bring someone back with Underbrook means somebody in Storybook dies. Maybe. I don't know. Or bringing them back erases anything the person's death was directly about. Like, if Krill comes back, Henry dies because Emma didn't save him, or bringing Neil back changes how things went with Zelina. I don't know. That's a good thought, but I don't know how that would go. I think it would give Zelina more character development if she would just confront Cora. I just want to like her. I'm glad she lost her verbal tick of saying wicked all the time. Well, to be fair, Zelina hasn't been on in a while, so she, like, especially in Wicked Witch mode, so she hasn't had the chance to say wicked every other 3 seconds. Maybe she's the one that's actually from Boston and not Emma. All right, let's go back to where I left off in the script. I'm caught up on comments. All right. So, okay, so we have flashback. I mostly was just tickled. Like, the whole flashbacks, all the flashbacks gave me a lot of feelings naturally, of course. Have you people met me? I liked the, Killian had his ponytail back, so we had, tiny ponytail Jones is back. that I got a good kick out of that. I kind of was iffy about whether or not they were still indentured servants or not. It looks like they aren't, because I don't think, it's kind of iffy because of their ages. You know, Bernard Curry and Colin Donahue are like in their mid-30s. They're playing what I'm assuming to be teenage boys. It's always iffy. Like, I know they could have cast younger people to play that, but then it would have had less of an impact. Like, I realize why they didn't cast younger people. So I'm gonna say, because like we've debated for ages, like how old Killian is when Liam dies, and then we can go into like, so how much after these flashbacks, this series of flashbacks when they finally join the Navy. Like, how far down the line after this does the whole thing with Neverland and all that, when does that happen? So who knows how much longer, but I'm assuming it's, you know, like maybe a year or two at most, depends on how quickly Liam rises through the ranks to captaincy and gets his own ship. So I don't know, but it's intriguing to just think, like, age-wise, because we've always thought that like Killian was very young when this happened, mostly because of the ponytail. I will admit that we mostly are just like, look at the tiny little ponytail and this tiny little child, and we're like, well, that's still like a 32-year-old man playing him, but you know, we'll just let this slide. Those darn old people playing teenagers. So yeah, so I wasn't really sure like where were they at. They're still kind of stuck to this ship, where I'm going to guess that they have to buy out their contracts. I'm going to guess that they were contracted, and they were talking about how they're going to go to the Navy, and Killian is talking about how he's very much inherited some of his father's traits, which Liam is like, you know, don't give yourself more credit than that, and, you know, you're not like dad, whatever, as Killian brings out a flask. So Killian gets very drunk and spitfiery, and Liam's keeping him out of all these scrapes. And I liked, I both liked and I didn't like. I don't think, didn't like is not the right way of saying it. I liked, and I was just very intrigued by, like I said earlier, Killian constantly struggling with this idea of darkness and like what darkness means to him. And the fact that he's like kind of already drinking on duty and he gets into a lot of trouble over it. And then like later, as we know, in good form, that he's very much like very against liquor, very against drinking on duty, and gives a whole big speech about it and everything. It's just, it shows like how much he took to heart the second chance that they got. And it also is just like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of how to put it into words. But it shows like, I guess it gives a point of view of like, he knows. So when he's saying, you know, do you know what happens when you mix sailor with rum? You know, it's bad form. Like, he's speaking like a truth that he knows, because like he's been that sailor and he's been that person. So to have him like give this speech, he's like, you know, trust me, I know. Like, they left that part out, but they're like, trust me, I know, I've been there, I've done that. So I thought that was a very interesting choice, I guess, writing wise. So he's already drunk, and he's very stickler about rules later. And so they're talking about how they're going to get their money together and they're going to buy out their contracts, I'm going to guess. I don't really know how 18th century merchant ships, if we're going to just like quotation mark on that, because who knows when this was, 300 years ago. I'm going to guess that they were just going to buy out their contracts and then get a commission to go into the Navy. Don't know how that worked. They're going to get their money together and they're going to do that. And we flash back to the future, back to the present. They're kind of catching up, and I'm going to guess that a lot of this talking happened off screen. You know how much I hate it when they do all the talking off screen. And we jump right into the good parts of like, well, Liam, why are you still here? I don't know. Really? You don't know? You've been here for how long and you don't know why you're still here? So that was my other thing of why I don't think he's the real Liam, or why I didn't think he was the real Liam, because he just didn't know why he was there. I'm pretty sure if you're stuck in purgatory, you know why you're stuck in purgatory. But that's just me. So it's a little conversation, and they're talking, and they decide, okay, we're gonna go find the book. They go to the loft. They're looking for the book. It's not in the chest that Mary Margaret's. I guess Mary Margaret found the book, but now we call her Snow because she doesn't want to be Mary Margaret anymore. So apologies while I figure out how to rewire my brain on that. So Snow can't find it. So they're just like tearing apart the loft. And we had this as much as I was just like, you're supposed to like her moment, it was very kind of adorable when Liam just like popped his head around the corner like, hey, can we talk for a second? I was like, okay, that was cute. Yeah, I'm not gonna like where this is going, but this is cute anyway. They talked about he confronted her about pretty much everything that we thought that he would. She was selfish for everything that she did. She's not letting him have what he wants, and she's just giving into her own desires. She's not letting him have his choices and all that. And Emma snarks back at him because I'm glad that she didn't take it sitting down. She was just like, are you always this self-righteous? So I liked that she kind of pegged him right back, was just like, you're crossing a line, buddy, so I'm going to cross the line with you because Emma. And then the new information that Killian has struggled with his darkness the entire words, speech, thoughts. Killian has struggled with his entire life with darkness. That was new information. I've talked a lot about it already. So we come downstairs, and because he knows her, he knows his swan, Killian immediately notices, hey, you're not okay. No, I'm fine. You sure about that? Yeah, I'm fine. Let's just keep looking at this book. Like, he knows, and that's why he wasn't going to stay, because he knows. So Henry comes in. He has plans, and he's like, we're going to find this key, and we're going to find this thing, and stuff and things. Okay, so because I'm thinking of this now, did anybody else notice that, like, things felt a little stiff this episode? And I don't know, like, if it was on purpose or what, but, like, a lot of the, like, chit-chat and talking, like, a lot of times things feel very, like, natural and, we're just having a conversation, it's fine, but, like, even in places where it shouldn't have felt very, like, stiff, it kind of felt like a little bit of stiff acting happening. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I was expecting a little bit more. Because I know, like, in this scene, Henry was supposed to be like, yeah, I'm totally not trying to use you guys for my plans. I'm just totally this sneaky 13-year-old boy. What are you talking about? I'm not hiding anything. Like, I know that that's what Henry was supposed to be doing, but, like, even when it was just, like some scenes between Bernard and Colin, I was just like, this doesn't feel as natural as it should. Maybe it's just because, like, Bernard's trying to be, like, the older brother who sets a good example kind of thing. Like, I just felt some things felt a little off for me, but maybe that's just, maybe I'm not observing things as I should. I don't know. And that's when Snow was like, I'm gonna go punch your brother in the nose to Charming, because I don't know, I liked that she was just like, yeah, I owe him a punch in the nose. Like, what? Because he kissed me? What? Like, that was just, it was good. And another thing, this is what I was trying to remember. So we had the flashback to Liam had the papers and was like, haha, you can't own this anymore because we got our freedom. And the captain was like, oh, really? Because your brother spent all his silver on gambling. Because Captain Silver was a douchebag. So he gave him one drink, and that turned into many drinks. And the thing that this put into, and now I have props. There's been this theory going around between a lot of CSers / Captain Hook fans that Killian is the functioning alcoholic, and this kind of like put a little check mark next to, like, yes, this is probably not an incorrect theory. Just like the whole, like, he's constantly struggling with it this episode, like basically up until you know, they go back into the ship and they're sailing into this hurricane. Like, that's kind of just this recurring thing where he's a functioning alcoholic. And I'm not saying, you know, that's a good thing. Lord knows I'm saying that's not a good thing at all. But like, it's an intriguing thing to think about. And yeah, I'm just kind of, I don't know, I have thoughts about that and like how that affects other things and like, yeah. So just idle thought. Think about that if you want. And okay, so I'm going to pop back into comments because I think after that we went to another break, or we're just going into the Killian. We're going to go into the rabbit hole after that. So yes. Yeah, okay, so this is actually funny because I just talked about this. Kimberly says, I love that Killian went from being a drinker and gambler to the guy who berates sailors for drinking, then back to the drinking and gambling pirate to Killian, who we haven't seen drink much in a while. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. When I say that it's interesting that now we have like more proof that he could be considered a functioning alcoholic, because we haven't seen him drink much in a while. And perhaps that's just because, like, you know, like I think the last time I specifically remember was when they all kind of, after they got back from Camelot and he was in the bar and he's like, well, you know, I spent a couple of centuries trying to defeat the Dark One. I can at least spend that long trying to save the woman I love. And he took a drink after that. And I think that's the last time I can really remember specifically that he drank anything. And like, but besides that, like, he has cut down weight a lot. So I don't know. I am very interested in this idea, and like how he kind of associates like binge drinking and just trying to cope with things and whatnot. And the thoughts and things, I like, this is something I have to like write down to like actually come up with feelings. And this is why I do kind of miss like writing scripts for this, because I would have had something a little more eloquent to say than other just, yeah, it's just something you want to think about. Like, no, you want to talk about it. Probably still indentured because they had to buy their freedom. Possibly indentured, or just they had to buy their contracts, one of the two. Yeah. Yeah, 15 or 16. Like, I could see that. I mean, they did have Jennifer Morrison playing 16-year-old Emma when she met Neil. So, like, they could be 15 or 16, and maybe that's why, like, because when you think about it, the last time we saw Liam in good form, he had, you know, stubbly beard and he had, you know, the longer hair. Whereas here he had longer hair and clean shaven. And I think because they had to do that for the flashbacks, and like they had to have the ponytail and everything, and like they're all like, they weren't both very clean shaven, because of course, you know, I mean, I think I've heard that Colin has to shave a lot anyway, but like I don't think he grows facial hair that fast. But they're both like, Bernard Curry in particular was like short hair, clean shaven, like in both the flashbacks and in present day. Which wouldn't make sense if you think about how what state he was in when he died. So possibly they did that just to be like, look, they're much younger, because, you know, I guess, you know, put Jennifer Morrison in a ponytail and put glasses on her, makes her look younger, and cut his hair and shave him down and makes him look younger. I don't know. This is why I don't do makeup in costuming. So yeah. Possibly struggle with darkness, struggle with the high bar, but I feel like, you know, I don't know. I mean, that's a good thought, because I can think like if he's struggling with the high bar, his brother set, and if he constantly feels like he's failing, then he could feel like, you know, that was the darkness. But like he has struggled with that like since Liam died, when Liam was no longer making that high bar. So I don't know. That's something to think of. That is something to think about too. Stop saying it's something to think about because discuss things. Bah. Yeah. Yeah. Regina's saying that Liam was so very self-righteous. Yeah. I don't know why, like, again, nobody asked what Henry was doing in the woods. Nobody asked what, where Robin was. Nobody asked where Rumpelstiltskin was. Lots of questions about fun things and stuff. Oh, yeah. The Regina saying how much she and Hooker are alike, that got me, like, that was very unexpected. I have a lot of Hooked Queen feelings, way more than I probably should. But that caught me way off guard, and I was like, for a second, I was like, I feel like I need to pause this and then like rewind and watch it again. I didn't because I had to do other stuff to prepare for this, but like, yeah, that got me. Just because, like, just the think before you open your mouth. Just the fact that she like said out loud, Hook and I are very alike. And I was just like, somebody said it. Because like, I've been saying it for a long time. A lot of people have been saying it for a long time. And there's certain factions of this fandom who don't think that they're anything alike. And I'm just like, no, they're basically mirrors of each other. Just one happens to be a dude and one happens to be a chick. So that was me going like, oh, my Hooked Queen heart, like, don't do this to me unexpectedly. Yeah, that hit me and very unexpectedly in a lot of places. Yeah. Okay. I have so many notes this episode. I haven't had this many notes in a long time. Is anybody surprised by this fact? No, you shouldn't be. Okay, so we go to the rabbit hole where Liam is cleaning an already very sparkly clean martini glass, which BT dubs, I know I don't look at promo pictures, but did anybody else see the promo pictures for this episode with Bernard just like being all broody behind the bar and giving like really disapproving looks to everything? I was just like, okay, I'm, the forearms, sleeves kind of rolled up and very, very veiny forearms. That's all I gotta say about that is thumbs up. Yeah, so he's in the bar and he's cleaning things up and Hades comes in. And so the book is here and it has stuff about Hades in it and doesn't want to get out because things and stuff. I'm very intrigued to see what exactly these pages with Zelena say. If Hades wants people to not see it, I'm very curious about like how much of that has to do with why he keeps all these souls down here. How far back does this go? Like obviously it can't go too far back unless time works differently as it does and everything else. Like I'm very intrigued to see how this goes. And another intriguing thing, the sorceress house in the underworld has light magic. And I'm very intrigued by the fact that light magic is allowed to exist in the underworld. You would think that Hades would be like, no, and do something about that. This is his domain, so he should have some kind of control over what exists here. But perhaps not. I don't know. I'm very interested to see if they do anything with that. I kind of doubt that they will. That might have just been a little throwaway line as per usual. But, I pick up on the throwaways. You put them down. I'm going to pick them up. I'm going to play with them. So this is when we find out that Liam does know why he's here. And he's lying. He lied to your little brother. We go to the sheriff's station, and it turns out that James has some interesting pastimes with his dungeon and his old-fashioned things that lock people up. And apparently Cruella is very into. So there's some cute banter between Snow and Charming. Apparently Charming and James keep the keys all in the same place, which I thought was interesting. I'm very much looking for, and this is a little bit later on, but I'm really, really looking forward to the episode where A, Josh Dallas has to play two people like talking to each other at the same time. I'm very interested to see how that works out. But B, I just really want to see this mashup of stuff. I'm the thing that tickles me the most about this Underworld arc is we get to see characters who otherwise would have never, ever, ever crossed paths with each other, but have affected each other's lives in some way. And like, we get to see what happens when they come face to face. And I like it very much. I like it a lot. What line did I write down? Next, you're going to say that we kiss the same. Because Snow was going on about how, like, oh, you and your brother are just the same. Well, no, we're not. Next, you're going to say that we kiss the same. Well, you might. I want to know how long Cruella de Vil and Prince Charming had to mac on each other to be distractions. So Cruella comes sauntering in and she's like, I've had a disastrous day, darling. And then she has this champagne and she's all like grooving up on Charming. And he's just like, yeah, I'm totally James. It's very uncomfortable, but amazing to watch. And she's like, now what do you want to have first, the champagne or me? And I'm like, oh no, please cut away because I don't think I can handle this. I couldn't handle it. So we flip to, this is the scene what we have in the diner, where Regina has to give Emma Boy advice. Again, this is a good scene between both of them. I thought it was great because, like, again, Regina and Emma, like, they have that kind of friendship where, like, they're just like, you know what? Nobody else is going to give it to you straight, so I am. And that's what they do. And I think that's really good. It's good that, like, I was thinking about it, you know, there's always, like, the villain who becomes the weird uncle, and, like, their family now, and, like, that applies to a lot of different characters in the show because, you know, getting redeemed and whatnot, that happens. And I think that, like, Regina fits that bill really well, too, where she's just, like, you know, the weird co-parent / grandmother figure. Like, it's weird to, like, be like, yeah, she is Snow's mom, but she's also Snow's stepmom, but she's also Henry's adoptive mom, but she's also Emma's step grandmother, but she's all like, she is the weird family member, but she was also the villain. So, like, just to have, like, I don't know, I was having this thought earlier and I didn't really come to any conclusion to it other than the fact that, like, Regina is really fitting into the weird ex-villain family member stereotype very well. So I liked, again, canon proof, Regina admitting that she and Killian are very alike. And I liked, and I think the Once Twitter also put this up there as one of their little, they have little thingies, the cards that they put up during the show. Forgiving yourself is the hardest thing to do. And oh, that is such a, like, not just villains have a hard time doing that, but good guys do too. So that was a good line. I liked it, and I liked that she's like, well, of course that I can relate because, you know, look, hello, have you met me? So good stuff, really great talk. And I like that Regina was like, act natural, stop fidgeting, you act natural. Emma, you used to be a bail bonds person and do stakeouts all the time. You should know how to act natural. Just saying. Oh, goodness. Another flashback. So I know that I said it was a hurricane, but, like, there was a weird noise at some point, and I don't know if that was, like, something outside or, like, if that was just a weird sound effect to be like, oh, the ship is under strain, so we're going to add this weird noise in. So I thought that they were going to go battle the Kraken. I don't know why. I was like, my first thought, yeah, they're going to battle the Kraken. Why? Why would a merchant ship go and battle the Kraken? I don't know. I couldn't tell you why that came to my head, but it did. And so then I thought, oh no, it's a hurricane and they're going to collect on the insurance. Again, why would I be logical like that? Oh yeah, they're just going to wreck the ship and collect on, and then the owner of this ship is going to collect on the insurance. Sounds reasonable to me. I don't know. we'll see, I guess. So there's this cursed sapphire at the eye of the storm, whatever. And then there's mutiny. Mutiny happens. I liked that the pirate theme. So Hook, Captain Hook has this piratey music that plays whenever he's around, and then this played when they had mutiny, and I liked it. It was like Liam started it, and I was like, he has a little bit of pirate in him too. So that happened. Mutiny happens, and we take over the ship, and everybody's gonna be saved! Yay! I have been talking a long time. So we go back to the house, the sorcerer's house, rather. And Liam suggests we should split up, and I'm just like, Liam, I know that Scooby-Doo was invented in another world, and also you weren't alive to see it, but this is a terrible idea, so don't do that. Let's split up, gang. Don't split up. Don't argue with your mother or your mother. That was a good scene with Regina and Henry and Emma. And then I'm going to go back to comments. So, yeah. I guess, yeah, I'm going back to the acting feeling a little bit stiff. I took the Bernard Collins stuff as Liam feeling guilty about lying to Killian. Yeah, I mean, I kind of was picking up on that a little bit, but that even happened early on a little bit. It just kind of felt very, I don't know, it felt really weird to me, but maybe it was just the mood that I was in when I was watching it. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I tried not to read too much spec fic because I didn't want to like get my hopes up for anything. I know there was a lot of speculation fic happening, but I didn't read much. Yeah, it is a little bit weird that Hades can't just ban light magic. I was very like, I'm wondering if it's because the sorcerer is so powerful. I guess, why am I so, I mean, is it the sorcerer's house or is it Merlin's house? Because I don't know, because Merlin was never there, and I don't know. I'm confusing myself, and I have to like stop and like think, because like the hat was never mentioned again. Like we're not going to get into Once Upon a Plot Hole. We're not going to do that right now. Yeah. I don't know, maybe like, I guess Hades could be not as powerful as he thinks, but who knows. Yeah, the scene between David and Cruella was really great. I was sitting there like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening on my TV screen. Hi, hello, we made it. Yeah, Emma and Regina's friendship was really great this episode. It's when they hit the good points, I'm just like, yeah, and when they hit the bad points, I'm just like, which, yeah, that is an obvious reaction, I guess. But I am waiting for when we get to see James. And I know that episode is coming. I have seen that there was some stuff where Josh Dallas was dressed as James and then as Charming. So it's going to happen. I'm just really excited to see it happen. Well, Michelle, I don't know if there's a Kraken in this show because we haven't seen the Kraken yet, but because one of the characters is a pirate captain, I'm sure there has been a Kraken at some point. I'm sure that it exists. Kristen wrote something where Killian survived the Kraken flu, so you know, I don't have any Kraken stuff for you. I'm sorry. Please accept my apologies for not having Kraken fic ready to just like be like, here, go read this. I can solve all your problems. But that would be an interesting way for Liam to accelerate into captaincy very quickly. So think about that. They did get the fairies out of the hat, and it did not happen off screen because remember, Regina had the dagger and she had to do the magic thing, and then like everybody came back, and that's when that might have been the last time we saw the blue fairy. I don't know. So yeah, so they have freed everybody from the hat. We did see it on screen, happened on screen. Yeah, I think they did say that like Merlin is a sorcerer, but I'm still saying it's Yensid. You're gonna have to take Yensid from me and from my cold dead hands because the apprentice is still Mickey Mouse. Just saying that. I don't know. Don't ship Captain Kraken. That's as bad as Hogwarts / the giant squid, which, yes, that exists. I've read it, and it's very disturbing. So, don't go looking for that. But it exists. I promise it does. Now I'm having weird college flashbacks. All right, going back to all this. So Liam tears out the pages, and it's, like you can tell that he feels bad about it, but also at the same time he doesn't, because he's trying to like save his own skin. Then we jump back to I'm gonna have to use a candy because my throat's starting to hurt. Sorry in advance. So we go back to Cruella and Charming, just kind of macking on each other in the sheriff's station. I just want to know how many hours they were at that. Like, how long was Snow just like, yeah, he can take care of it, it's fine. And then how long did it take before she was like, maybe he's been gone a little bit too long. Oh, maybe he's enjoying it. Like, how long did it take before Snow had questions about what happened? And I love Cruella. I do. And she just had that line, couldn't you have pretended to be Jimmy a little longer? I love that she knew like right away. She was just like, yeah, we'll just have fun with this. It's fine. She's great. I love her so much. I'm so glad that she's back this half of the season. And just like Cruella, I am looking forward to the Charming James meetup. So this was the very heartbreaking promo scene. So Liam tosses the pages that he stole into the well, and somehow he got ink on his hands, and this is proof enough that, he did it, whatever. So Emma comes and confronts Liam, and she talks to him. No, this is not that. That's before. No, that's right. Because Emma and Killian are arguing because she doesn't quite trust Liam yet. She thinks he's lying. And Killian's just like, my brother would lie. I mean, what are you talking about? Blah, 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 blah. And Emma's just like, well, okay, I guess, whatever. I'm trying to remember, because I didn't write anything down on that, because I didn't have anything significant to say about that. What was this? Oh, flashback to Liam was trying to chart a new course, or find the charts to make a new course to get around the hurricane. And Hades shows up. Now, my first thought was like that Liam sold his soul to like live, because I was just like, why is Hades here? What would be going on? And it turns out that because Hades knew that like this boat was going to sink, and he was expecting all these souls, which again, the souls aren't doing anything for him unless they are, and we're just not seeing it yet. Like I'm thinking, I don't know why like Hades just gathering all these souls, unless it's like we can't like free the Titans and go attack Mount Olympus. Like we're just gaining souls to gain power or whatever. Like if we're really gonna rip off Hercules, I don't know. So they make this deal, or they're like trying to make this deal, where he gets the sapphire in exchange. Like he's like, I'll give you the sapphire and you and your brother can live if you let everybody else die, which awesome deal. Thanks, Hades. That's great. As much as I kind of just like about the hair, like this episode, the hair was bad. The fire hair was a little not great, but it was a really great effect of the hair lit and then like all the other candles in the room lit, and like Liam was freaking out. That was just like a really good touch to just be like, oh yeah, I'm a god and I can do this. Like it was really, really good. So this is when Liam tosses the pages down the well and he has ink on his hands, which whatever is proof enough. I'm not going to question it. And this is when Emma talks to Liam about the ring, and I need to have a moment because I'm not over it yet. So she's talking to him and she's like, he looks up to you, you're his hero, and he gave you this ring and it was yours, and And that's when Killian walks in, and I find that it's an interesting choice of words that Killian thinks that Emma thinks that Liam is a villain. Again, interesting choice of words because we have always like said that like, you know, villain is just anybody who does anything bad at all. Whereas like in this case, Liam is very much like a gray character, as everybody is a gray character in the show. Gosh, who would have thought? So I'm just very interested in the choice of the word villain in this situation because he very specifically said villain, and I was just like, she didn't go that far. She just says that she thinks he's hiding something. Like it's a very intriguing choice of words, and I think that ultimately says more about how Killian's thought process works and how he's very much a black and white thinker, and how he has to learn how to like. And I guess that does go back into like how he's like, well, I did these bad things, therefore I deserve to not be saved. Like he's very much, if X equals X, then X, or if Y equals what. Like there's no like if then or kind of thing. It's just a very, if this equals this, then this happens as a result. Like there's no gray areas. Killian's very black and white. So I think that that might be like where his growth is kind of just learning that people are not one thing or the other. They can be a blend of things. And this was a really good scene. Like it, as much as it hurt for her to be like, you can't just like, I did all this and like she just again, Jennifer Morrison with the single tear down her face needs to stop because I can't take it. But she has this moment where she's just like, you gotta forgive yourself, and I can't do it for you. You need to forgive yourself, and you need to be the one that does this. And then she turns around and she goes. And to his credit, Killian does try to stop her, but then Liam is just like, no, and he like it's for the best. Don't worry, like it's fine. Like bros before hoes. And thankfully, this was not dragged out very much longer because I was just about to be like, oh, I hate it when things are dragged out. But again, it's once upon a time. We don't exactly drag anything out in this show. Killian notices that the hand is covered in ink, and personally, I didn't really see very much ink, but you know, whatever. It doesn't matter what I think. So that's when he says like, oh, she was right. You were lying about this, and you're my brother, and how dare you lie about things, and it's stuff and things. And then the crew of the ship shows up just in time. Another flashback where, so apparently Liam did make this deal because they lived. And I just had this moment of like, so we know in good form, Killian gives this big rousing speech about, you know, like we're betraying the king and we're going to be pirates and live our own laws and take what we will and blah, blah, blah. And he gave this big speech about hope. Put a quarter in the hope jar. Big speech about hope. And I was just sitting there like, oh no, everybody's about to die. And you're giving this big speech about how put your trust in Liam Jones and he's going to lead us all to safety and it's going to be great. And I was just like, oh, sweet child, no. So, yeah. So they get kidnapped by the crew of the people, and they get taken to what I've been calling the Judgment Fire, but apparently it's called the Boiling Sea. I like Judgment Fire better, but just to note that it is called the Boiling Sea. I'm going to still call it the Judgment Fire because that's what it's been doing. So they get taken to the Judgment Fire, and I did really like that, like, this wasn't a scene, because, like, everybody's been thinking that this would be, like the scene at the well was going to be, like, I'm going to choose to go be happy in the afterlife with my brother, and this wasn't that wasn't what happened. I'm glad there wasn't, like, I choose my brother over the love of my life, my true love. It's like, okay, no, we're kidnapped, and we're going to be forced to go across the Judgment Fire to see which way we go. And it's, yeah. So like, I was glad that it wasn't like, he's going to go. And then he looks back at the last second and decides, no, I can't do it. Like, I'm glad that that is not what happened. Cause I would have had to like gag slightly because of cheesiness, but whatever. So they're about to get pushed off and shoved into the fire. And then did somebody decide to have a party and forget to invite me? I love Hades so much, you guys. I might not like him after next week's episode because he decided to have a slutty party with Zelina. But you know what? For right now, I love him, and I'm glad that we have him. So he intervenes, and he says, like, one brother filled his end of the bargain, and he gets to live. Hades, everybody down here is dead. I don't know what you mean by he gets to live, but he doesn't, because like he's still dead. Weird choice of words. I'm probably just nitpicking because that's what I do. Possibly they just didn't have any better way of putting it than he gets to live. But so Killian was actually going to be the one that gets shoved into the pit, but Liam ran in the way because he has protected Big Brother. And I love when I have moments where I just go like a completely involuntary, this was one of those moments because Liam was getting shoved into the pit and Killian grabbed onto him and Liam was like, no, this is punishment enough. It's, this is what I deserve after everything that I did. And he lets go. And in that moment, that is the moment where it was just there's a little bit too long of a second between when he let go and when the flash happened of like, oh no, he's fine. Because I was just sitting there like, and that's when I started tearing up. So it turns out that he, that last bit of self-sacrifice was enough for him to be like, okay, now I get to go to the good afterlife. The pits judged him and he got in the boat with all the other people. And apparently, like, these other guys were fine enough to go on to this good afterlife where they're all just like, we're going to be on this boat happily ever after. Yay. It was very weird to be like, oh, you're just going to like kidnap people and send them into a fire pit of doom. And you now get the good afterlife? Okay. I'm not going to question it. Fine. So they have a little moment, and Liam admitted he was wrong about Emma and be like, tell her I was wrong. And the only regret that I have that he did not tell that to her face because, like, I'm tired of people telling Emma that she's not good enough. But, I'll take this as it is. So yeah, this is when Killian has that moment of like, my unfinished business isn't done until Emma and I defeat Hades. So that's where I have this conflict between, so he says that like he's going to be like, oh, I'll be with you in a little while. I'll join you in a while. Whereas with Emma, he said everything Liam did was to ensure that I had a future and I damn well intend to have one. And so which one is what is the truth? I don't know. But yeah, I definitely had a feeling of like, he's telling that to her to give her false hope, which kind of a dick move if that's the case. Because it does kind of feel like, in season 3 when Emma was like, after all this, I'm going back to New York with my son because it's safer in New York and there's no whatever. So kind of thinking that's what's going to happen, but I'm willing to wait and find out and be pleasantly surprised when I'm wrong. So it turns out that Killian and Liam survived the shipwreck. Surprise. I had no idea they were going to live because they're here now. So, wow. Totally such surprise, much shock. And they're offered Navy commissions like right then and there. So they have like, yay, we're going to be upstanding young gentlemen now. And there's the Jewel of the Sea, which will eventually be the Jolly Roger. Judgment Pit is the boiling sea. So Killian comes back to the house and that's when he tells Emma, like, I went with him, or I was talking to him, we were taken by these people and I am going to stay here and I'm going to come back with you. And I love the pouncing smooches when they're just like, they can't keep away from each other any longer and want to just like smooch, like not like punch in the face, but like where they just kind of swoop on one another. Makes me happy. A nice pouncing smooch, just all fuzzy tingly inside. We have Henry walking around the house. He's still looking for the pen, and the pen is a lamp, because why not? And then they go back to the loft, underloft, and I liked that Emma was like, oh, he's just up there being an emo teenager. Oh, Henry, yeah, he's being an emo teenager. And then David comes in, they have a nice little grandpa-grandson moment. Henry fesses up about the pen and what he was going to do with it, and they have this little moment where he's just like, I want to be the hero, and I want to do all this, but I'm going to do it the right way. Do it the right way, moms. So he decides to record Hades' story again. And we find out that Hades picks up the pages from one of the rivers. So the well kind of went down into one of the rivers with a smoke-filled river. And again, I'm interested to see which, because we've seen all 5 rivers. Like they all kind of go into, they either spread out from or they go into Hades' throne. So I'm very intrigued to see if we find out what river is what. Like we know the green one is the River of Lost Souls. Is this, is the foggy one the Leith? The one with the memories? Because like, you know, if he wanted everybody to forget that Zelena happened, then dropping these pages with Zelena into the Leith would be the most likely situation. I don't really know. So we've seen all 5 rivers. I would just like to like get a little label, get a little label maker. This one is the River of Lost Souls, and this one is this one's the Fire River, and this one is this one. And like, just tell me what ones are what. Just tell me all this information. And that's when I'm like, okay, Zelena's Persephone, or she's supposed to be Persephone. And then we find out that Robin was literally not in this entire episode whatsoever. And that's that of my notes. Okay, back to comments. I have not been around here for a while. So yeah. Zelena and Hades, I'm intrigued. I'll admit that much, to be like, because that's just so like off the wall, but I am intrigued about that. But in just the sense of like, of all of the cracked pairs in the world, like that's the one you're going to go with. So yeah. Chit chat. Yeah, I think that there was, you know, Emma and Liam, I don't remember their conversation. Like I wrote down a couple of lines that really stuck out to me, but like there was so much happening between, there's a lot of conversation happening that I couldn't like write down anything else. But like, I think you're right that what Emma said to Liam is what made him come clean to Killian in the end and realize that she does deserve him. Because she does just want him to be happy. And that's, honestly, that's what Liam should care about the most, is that his little brother is with somebody who makes him happy. Yeah, just emotions. I have my pick of stuffed animals that I can choose, but the panda is squishiest. Killian and Snow, honestly, like Killian and Snow having a hope off would be like, it would get very dramatic very quickly, because Killian Jones, just saying, I love him, but boy's dramatic. So yeah, tiny little baby Killian would be, that would be an interesting mix, but yeah. I don't know, at least like, I think Cruella would be, the question is, who is crazier, Cruella or Zelena? And honestly, I think Cruella, because like, she doesn't have much of a motive other than because why not? Like, at least Zelena is motivated by her jealousy, like her green with envy. Like, she literally is green with envy. So I think that would automatically put Cruella at the top, because Zelena has more of a motive, whereas Cruella is just like, why not? Like, I think that was literally in her episode. It was literally like, why not do this? So yeah, I would say that Cruella is definitely crazier than Zelina, but I have more fun with her because she is just crazy. Like, there's no justification of it. Sorry, my phone keeps buzzing. Surprise, my hockey team lost. Yeah, like, Cruella doesn't care. Like, there's no motive, there's no attempt to justify it. It's just because. Whereas Zelina tried to justify it, but in the end, it's just like, get over it. Like, that's my whole reaction, because it is just jealousy. It's like, this is something that you should just get over, because neither, like, she or Regina didn't have control of that situation. So, like, get over it. Like, I don't have any sympathy for that. So, yeah. I don't know. I'm interested to see. Comment is, Killian thought long and hard off screen. Again, those darn off screen scenes that happen. While on his way back to Emma, and decided to embrace their future. And I hope so. I will be pleasantly surprised if that is the case, but I feel like it's going to be like, last minute. What is it? I can't even think of an appropriate sports term. Ninth inning save. That's not a thing that people say at all. I don't know. So yeah. Well, right. So that's been my whole thing. The question is, I wonder how they plan to bring Killian back, since Henry isn't going to write anybody back and they can't do the heart thing. And how could they even do the heart thing? That's his body. That's not his body. It's his spirit. And that's been the question since this whole thing was started. Because first off, we can't take Emma's heart out of her chest, because that was established in season 2. just saying, we had a whole big reveal. That's how we found out that Emma has magic, in that she can't have her heart removed. The only reason we can't do the heart thing now is supposedly because Emma's already dead, because her name's on the tombstone, so she has to stay here. So if they break that, then maybe we can hand wave something into why Emma's heart couldn't be taken by Cora in season 2. We'll find out. Stay tuned next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And that's right, that it is his, like, that's what I was saying at the very beginning of, you weren't here for that one, Lieutenant Soul. The very beginning of this live stream, I was like, I'm very intrigued by what exists in the underworld, because, like, people can touch. Like, there's, very much touching and kissing and hugging happening between people here, when there's, like, especially between people who are alive and people who are dead. Like, they shouldn't be able to do that. They should be, like, through each other, not to get, like, there should be something happening. And probably, again, I just said for practicality, for the fact that they had to put all of the budget towards Hades' hair, that they couldn't really, like, CGI too much with that. But I'm very curious, like, to how things work down here, and if they did that, like, does it affect his body still in the overworld? I don't know. So I'm very, like, I don't know how they're going to do that, and it's going to be very interesting to see where the trade-off happens, where Killian can come back in the end. I don't know. So, yeah. So I don't really know what's going on with that. Well, I mean, sociopaths are kind of crazy. Like, that's kind of the whole thing, that they are. There's a couple of screws loose. Where, like, I guess if we're gonna be, if I could grab my, I don't know which, like, my mental health books I have behind me, but I think I have one that would, like, define sociopathy as a mental illness. And, if we want to just very non-PC, loosely define mental illness as crazy, like, ta-da. But, I'm calling myself crazy too, so it's fine. It's fine. I don't know. James and Charming is the same situation. And that isn't, yeah, I didn't think about it like that. So, like, James's whole thing is, like, he's jealous that, like, Ruth picked Charming to stay, or Ruth picked David, I guess, to stay and let James go to be the prince. So there's some jealousy factor there, and, like, that's the same thing with, like, Zelina and Regina. whatever. So that's an interesting way of putting it, that like there's still a envy, jealousy, which yeah, I'm trying to think like how that works, because I always get jealousy and envy mixed up, because I know that there is like wanting what somebody else has, and just like, I think jealousy is you don't want anybody else to take what you have, and envy is you want what somebody else has. So maybe it is envy. So there's a whole envy thing happening with that, with James and Charming, which is why I'm looking forward to seeing their predicament. Also, Josh Dallas things. Josh Dallas playing two people. Yeah. I've seen the headcanon that Emma can remove her own heart, so we'll see how that works. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think they don't put much thought in the underworld because they're based on Greek mythology. It also had the living being able to interact and touch the dead, even bring people out of the underworld. I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm just like, I keep wanting to grab my Funkos. So like they're touching, they're doing this, and they should just like, whoosh, like they shouldn't be able to. If it's a spirit, if this is a spirit, this should be able to just pass through, not together. I mean, I want them to do this, but like they should just, so that's, I think, oh no, my Emma's head is trying to fall off. And I think Hook's body is just moving around, and I didn't realize that the body moved. Things I find out about toys that I've owned for 6 months. Yeah, and you're just off balance, so that's why you have a little thing there. So, I don't know. That's my. I have very specific thoughts about spirits and how spirit physics works. So yeah, samesies. Yeah, officially diagnosed. Yay. I don't know if that's a yay or not, but whatever. At least I know what's wrong with me. Don't usually sociopath. Well, the first thing is like sociopathy is really just a specific form of psychopathy. So really we're talking about a psychopath. And like, to go back to my Sherlock days, sociopathy doesn't exist. Oh my God, you guys, why don't you know these things? That's my pretentious Sherlock Holmes fan person. If you weren't in the heyday of BBC Sherlock fandom, please count yourself lucky, because there's a lot of debate about sociopathy versus psychopathy, and how sociopathy isn't actually a thing according to the mental health people who are in charge of things. Don't you love how I'm obviously an official person who knows things? So like she's a psychopath. Like she's a very specific brand of psychopath. That is Corella. It depends. If they go to mental facility instead of prison, it depends. Depends. Everybody is a different case. Yeah, largely based on 1 semester of mental health counseling school that I've been in. It's a case-by-case basis. So, yeah. See, I would say spirits just because we've seen Killian's body getting taken away on a gurney. That's my only thing of like, his body is on a cold metal slab in the morgue, in the official labeled vault of Emma Swan's boyfriends, because all of her boyfriends die. So that's my whole thing of like, we've seen his body actually be taken away dead on a gurney. So if you could get rid of that scene, which, you know, I wouldn't mind, because that was a very awful, heart-wrenching scene. But yeah. But yeah, and he wasn't buried. Like, he wasn't gone long. Like, it was 12 hours later, if that. Like, there was no time to bury anybody for coins. Like, I can hand wave it and just be like, because reasons and for practicality, and also to make jokes of Cruella making out with Prince Charming. But I have some. I have rules about how spirits work, and trying to like get my head wrapped around it. So yeah, so that is that. I can't think of anything else. Well, did I have anything else that I wanted to talk about? We talked kind of about how I'm not super psyched about Zelina next week. Just I wish I liked her better, but you know, unless they do something else with her, it's not going to happen. I am actually, I'll say this. I am interested to see if there's going to be any kind of, if Zelina is going to be brought down to the underworld somehow for reasons. I don't know. Maybe Hades gives her like an express ticket. I don't know. I am going to be interested if she's going to be like, so you left my baby with the fairies? Like, I'm interested to see if that happens. If there's any kind of talk about Baby Peanut at all, which, are we seriously going to go this entire season without finding this baby's name? Because I will throw something. Like, I just want to know this child's name. Like, please, somebody name her. I have given her a name, and I'm going to be very upset when that name is not right. But, like, somebody canonically name this child. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Who do I like less, Zelina or Neil? I like Zelina less than Neil. I'm going to say it. I like Neil more than I like Zelina. That's my official statement. Going to put a little stamp of approval. I like Neil more than I like Zelina. At least, like, Neil, I can talk around some stuff. Like, he had his own issues. Like, were the things that made him do the things that he did right? Or were they, like, good? No, absolutely not. Zelina just won't grow up and get over it. Like, I have more issue with the fact that the show keeps whitewashing Neil to the fact where he's like, oh, he did nothing wrong. We're like, he did do things wrong. Like, and it's like totally fine that he did things wrong because we have other characters on the show who have done things that are wrong. And clearly they have, you know, healed or gotten better or like admitted that they're wrong. Whereas, like, they just are like, oh, he's dead, so we're going to pretend that nothing bad happened ever. Like, I have more issue with that than I do with the character itself. Like, I like the character just fine, but, like, I'm all for giving him a fair shot, but, like, yeah. Whereas Zelina, again, just won't get over it. Like, I just want, like, I have no patience. It's the same reason why it took me 3 seasons to get, like, to finally start liking Regina, because I was just like, you're mad at a 10-year-old for the last, like, 50 years. Honey, it's time to get over it. Like, that's my thing with the Mills women's. Lena Mills and Regina Mills, get over it. Regina, getting there. Zelina hasn't quite gotten there yet. So, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, Latin was not offered at my high school, and I just was not, so I was not able to do that. Yeah, I'm having trouble resolving some things in my head. So, all right. So I think if that is it, it's 11 o'clock. So this is the longest one we've done in a little while. We've been going about a little over an hour. Now we're at an hour and a half. So that's pretty good. If nobody has any other things, yeah, last episode or 2 episodes ago when Hercule was like, can you keep a secret? No, that's the whole premise of the show is Snow White cannot keep a secret. So, yeah. I think mythology in its definition, I don't have a lot of Greek mythology knowledge, but I know there's a lot of conflicting info in Egyptian mythology. I assume that holds true for most mythologies. Yes, mythology, asterisk, much conflict, very confusing, wow. So, yeah, I didn't go to Catholic school, thankfully. I had enough Sunday school. Okay, Michelle, what's your question? Michelle has a question. I'm going to pop this open really quickly, and I'm still here. I'm just popping open a different window quite quickly. Just to double check that there's no, as usual, or there were issues and now there aren't types of things. Okay, that happened. That's not useful. Oh, you said Mickey Mouse. I heard Mickey Mouse. Is Mickey Mouse in the show? Well, so in season 4, we kind of introduced the Sorcerer's Hat from Fantasia, and there was the Sorcerer's Apprentice who was guarding it, and it's this old man, and he's dressed in a red robe, so he looks like how he's an old man, but he's dressed how Mickey Mouse was in Fantasia. There's this whole subplot with this magic hat, and he's just been called the Sorcerer's Apprentice or just the Apprentice. Like, he's never been given a name, but in one episode he was turned into a mouse. And I had been calling him Mickey Mouse before that because I was like, well, duh, the Sorcerer's Apprentice, that's Mickey Mouse. Same reason why I've been calling the sorcerer Yen Sid, and I was kind of disappointed when it turned out to be Merlin. So I just keep calling the Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey Mouse. I don't think that's exactly it, but this is the same season where it was revealed that the previous author had died in December of 1963, which is when Walt Disney died, and then they were trying to find a new author for the storybook. So we were like, that's obviously an allusion to Disney. So, which this entire show is basically. But yeah, I've been calling it's not official that the Sorcerer's Apprentice is Mickey Mouse, but I keep calling him that because the show keeps doing things that make me go, you're Mickey Mouse. So yeah. Thank you very much for that compliment. That's very nice. Yeah, see, this is why I keep getting you to try to watch this show, aside from the very attractive scene where it looks like when Colin Donahue is being controlled by the dagger, because it's very ridiculous. It is a very ridiculous show, and they have no problem just hanging up some lampshades about things. Cha-cha-cha. Shouldn't Merlin be down there? I don't have to go anywhere. I mean, I do, because I have a paper that's due tomorrow, and I have not finished it yet. But good question if Merlin should be down there. You would think so. I mean, he did kind of just die with, but I feel like because he could see the future, like he probably got all his affairs in order, and he doesn't have any unfinished business. I mean, I'm gonna rely on the future sight thing to be like, yeah, there's no, I have no unfinished business because I saw this coming. So yeah, in theory, Merlin should be there, but I'm gonna go on future sight says no. So yeah. Yeah, Nimue. No, I don't think Nimue would be there because Nimue was absorbed. So Nimue now lives inside of Rumpelstiltskin. So think about that. Go to sleep with that thought in your head. Yeah, because all of the previous Dark Ones, remember, all them, since they were all brought to Storybrooke and like they got absorbed into the sword, which was then stabbed into Killian and then not actually disintegrated, but in fact all of that power was moved to Rumpelstiltskin. All the Dark Ones are in Rumpelstiltskin now. He is the most powerful Dark One to ever exist, and that's why Hades was all like, we need to meet and have brandy and play pool together, which still my aesthetic. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But I feel like because of all of that, like Merlin was just like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. So here's me giving you some clues to fix this later. And then, yeah. So, actually, so something, so I was able to get on the ABC advisory board, which forgot what interacting with the general fandom was like, because I'm just happy in my little bubble of Captain Swan. It's been a real fun ride, you guys. But there was somebody who posed a question about Rumbelle being like, if we could ever get another true love kiss out of Rumbelle. And I would be very interested to see how the magic of true love works against literally the most powerful dark evil ever. Because like we did see that it was working against the regular Dark One back in Skin Deep, and that was in series in the first season. So we do know that like it works against the Dark One, but does it work against the power of all the Dark Ones together? So that would be like, I posed that question return. I don't think I got anybody to respond to that, but I would be very interested to see how that worked out. If that was the case, I kind of don't want them to redeem Rumple if they did like go with the hero's death because, or like the tragic hero's death, because like he's done so much shit at this point that like I don't believe that he can be redeemed, but we'll see. They might be going on the story angle as they've tried to with Zelina now, and they did with Regina of, you know, parenthood equals redemption. So maybe they're going to try to do Neil 2.0 and let him do that. I don't know. Would it surprise me? Not particularly, but who knows? Yeah, I don't know. Who knows where Rumpelstiltskin went? Honestly, I don't. I kind of don't care. They're like, to have him in this episode too would just be a little bit too much. There's too many things happening. So, okay. So I think I'm going to pop off now because I have paper to write. I have to finish that and turn that in. And my brain hurts because grad school is hard, you guys. So we will leave that for now. Next week, we'll be back next week with so much fun talking about Zelina / Persephone. We'll see how that goes. Again, same bat time, same bat channel, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or you can always catch this on the my YouTube page afterwards if you want to sit through an hour-ish chatting about stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.